This is Suzanne Evans, and you're listening to Your Beautiful Day on the Gratitude Radio Network.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show, here also simulcasted on the Gratitude Radio Network. Love always talking. I want to excited to welcome the program. One of my co-hosts, Jen Mogg. Jen Mogg, how are you? And you're excited about our guest, and thanks for coming by again.
Hey, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us on Your Beautiful Day on the Gratitude Radio Network. I am very thankful that you're listening to us, and I hope to bring some sunshine and gratitude into your life today. And I am very excited. I'm going to hand this over to my life coach of life coaches, because this is Pearl's Pearl for today. I am so happy. I can't tell you how excited I am that we have this woman on the show. It is like a gift from heaven. So without further ado, Pearl, bring her in.
Hey everybody, hope you are having an amazing day today. I am so excited. Like Jen said, I think I'm 3 times more excited than her, because I've actually been in the room with this next guest, and I have personally firsthand seen how she treats all her guests. She when you walk in the room, I was able to go to the Be the Change event a few years ago in Orlando, and our guest is proudly owns who she is. She stands on that stage, she states who she is. She tells you, yes, she knows she's overweight. Yes, she knows she's gay, and she realizes it. And she tells us straight up front that's who she is, because she knows we're all thinking it, right? So she just comes out and lets us know it. She's not afraid to throw the F-bomb at you. She's not afraid to tell you like it is. And she's not afraid to make you realize who you really are. That's what makes her the New York best time selling author. And that's what took her from being a secretary to a multi-7-figure CEO, because of her tell it like it is. And what I like too is that not only she blends all that together to help entrepreneurs like myself be successful, but along her journey, she's also become an amazing mom, and she's wrangling a toddler. So without further ado, I want to give a hell yeah welcome to Suzanne Evans.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Absolutely.
We are excited to have you.
Yes, and I'm interested in learning about you, because Pearl knows all about you, and Jen knows some about you, but me, I look at New York Times best-selling authors. So I think when you see that in your title, Suzanne, you probably didn't think that would be in your title, right? New York Times best-selling author.
No, it wasn't even. I'm a terrible writer. I hate writing. I'm not an amazing writer. I put some good thoughts together. And so one of the things I like to tell people is, the best writers don't hit the New York Times bestseller list. I think the hardest workers hit the New York Times bestseller list, especially when it goes in the category I was in, obviously, which is, in the education category. And, I didn't write a fiction novel. I certainly didn't turn out The Color Purple. But yeah, no, I didn't. But, everything has shocked me and nothing has surprised me in my life, because, and we could talk about this today, because I believe hard work can overcome smarts.
See, I agree too. And we'll let Jen have the first question, but I agree as well. The harder workers will always, at the end of the day, be the ones that have the success, but there's other things that it's involved, but hard work always pays off. Go ahead, Jen, your first question.
Well, I completely agree with what you're saying. And, I grew up in Orlando. So growing up around Disney and wishing upon that star, but then you have to make it real. You have to take it from a dream. You have to put it in writing. You have to make your plan. You have to stick to your plan. You have to pivot your plan. You have to stand behind it and go every day. One of my friends asked me, he goes, well, how is this manifested for you? And how have you done all this stuff? And he was a little angry, I have to say. And I said, but I've been doing this. What are you doing, Jen? Still doing gratitude. What are you doing, Jen? Still doing Mother of Gratitude. How's it working? I don't know, but we're still doing it. And it's still going on. And now that it's manifested, I don't care if there's COVID. I don't care if there's an earthquake, a war, whatever it is, still got gratitude. And you really have to be, as Pearl says, shackled in to your surroundings and dig in your heels. And with, hell or high water, I've got menopause. I know what hell is, and I can swim. So, and that's how you have to go around things. for Suzanne, what brought you? I want to go back. I like to go back and see how a person was shaped to where they are now, and not just the gratitude moment that happened, your aha moment, but take our listeners back when you were little Suzanne. What was your life like growing up, and how did that shape where you are now?
Oh, I was a nightmare. I was, yeah, no, I was from the beginning. I mean, I always was very certain. I was always very clear what I wanted. I'll never forget, being in school, and every report card I got said, she's a bright child, but she talks too much and she wants to run the classroom. And it's funny because I won about 6 years ago. I received a wonderful honor I went to a private school, K through 12, and I got the Alumni of the Year award. And I actually couldn't be there because I had a pretty large speaking gig, and my dad went for me, and he said, "What do you want me to say?" I said, "You say whatever you want to say." And he showed me the speech, and he said, he listed all of my teachers, and he said, "To Miss Matlack and Miss Brady and Miss Edwards," he said, "for all the times you sent us home saying if she would just talk less," he said, "talking has made her a fortune, and you were all wrong, but we love you anyway." Right? So, I mean, I was always a kid who was curious, and I was cunning and clever, and I loved people, and I loved to explore problems, and I loved to problem solve. I did theater at a very young age, and started doing professional theater when I was 4 years old. I was professional water skier for 16 years and multiple professional water ski troops. And I'm one of those people that's just done a little bit of everything, but I had great parents. I still have great parents. They're actually in the other room. And one of the things that my dad said to someone, I think I was in college, thank God I was old enough and mature enough to grasp it. They said, I'm a 7th generation farmer's daughter. I mean, 7th generation of farmers, grew up in the middle of the country, and someone said to my dad, how did you get her involved in the arts, and you got her involved in water skiing, and you got her involved in theater, and you got, like, Johnny, I mean, we're country people from Vander, North Carolina. And he said, I didn't know how to raise a kid. He said, none of us do, I guess. He goes, and I thought the best path to parenting was just to try to teach her everything I didn't know anything about. And, I have a 4-year-old now, and I get chills every time I say that. And so that's the kid I was. We were this little family. I was an only child till I was 12. Then my sister was born. So we were kind of growing up this little family that just ramshackled, going everywhere, trying everything, doing everything, very involved in politics. I grew up in a political family. So wild and wonderful. And and here we are.
It's interesting you talk about only child. I'm an only child, and I guess that's where we get all our talking from. We're used to talking.
Well, I have a sister, but we were almost 2 only children.
Yeah.
Right, because she was in kindergarten when I left the house.
Right.
So we talk about that. It's almost like and now my sister is the CEO of my company, but we talk about that it was almost like 2 separate raisings. And you do, I think you talk like, I think only children, Adrian will probably be an only child. And there's something interesting. I think that they're forced into more mature situations. You end up hanging out with a lot of adults. There's not another sibling. I also grew up on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere with no neighbors. So I went to private school. So anybody who did live near us, I didn't go to school with. So I really grew up a lot around adults. And I think it kind of crafted my outlook on life. I remember I got a slumber party invitation, and I told my mom I couldn't go. And this was probably like in 3rd grade. And she said, "Why?" I said, "Well, it's Sunday night." And she said, "Well, what's wrong with Sunday night?" I said, "Oh, that's 60 minutes. And I didn't miss 60 minutes.
Suzanne.
Tell you came up with great questions as a teacher. Go ahead, Pearl, with your next question.
Probably, yes.
Larry King was my late night stuff I'd listen to, and also when he used to have the radio show late at night and all these different people, and I always listened to talk shows. And that's not my profession, but I think it helped a lot my questions as a teacher, and then also helped my questions now doing over 6,000 plus shows. But go ahead, Pearl. Question.
So Suzanne, one of the questions I have, and I think you touched on it when I was at the Be the Change event a few years ago, but what motivated you to stop, go from being that secretary to come out to the masses, like people like me who received such amazing, it was an amazing life-changing event weekend for me. What motivated you to take that and bring it out to those of us out in the entrepreneur world?
Oh, total stupidity. I was working in the Broadway theater industry, just to give a little context. And my title was assistant producer, which everyone in the arts and entertainment industry will know that's a fancy word for secretary. So I was an executive assistant to two Broadway producers that were husband and wife team. And had been doing it about 7-8 years. And, I had an interesting life. I had an interesting job. I wasn't making very much money, and that was an issue. But, I'm putting Reba McEntire into Annie Get Your Gun, and, and Melanie Griffith into Chicago, and Usher into Chicago. I opened 5 Broadway shows. I had a fascinating life. I worked my tail off, but a fascinating life. But I kind of hit this crossroads of, what am I going to do with this from here? And how am I ever going to make more money? And so, to tell you the truth, I went on about probably a year-long journey of like, what do I want to be when I grow up, and what's next, and what's here. And I looked at everything from hospice nurse, which anybody who knows me laughs, because those people are angels on earth. And that is one of the most important and profound professions there is. And I would just be a disaster. But from hospice nursing to therapy, to being a therapist. And actually, when I was researching being a therapist, I came across positive psychology, and I heard about this thing called coaching. And I thought, I don't know what this is. I've never heard of it, but I think I need a coach, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing with the rest of my life. And so, how everything just starts to come together. And so I got a coach because I was thinking about doing coaching. And I was like, after the first session, I was like, I would love to do this for people. And around that same time, I went home to my wife and I said, Melanie, I think I know what it is, this coaching thing. And she said, well, do you know the show? She goes, I've been DVRing a show called Starting Over. And I said, what is it? And this was this show. It was a morning show with Rhonda Britton and Ayanna Van Zant and a therapist. And I watched a couple of episodes, and they put these women in a house for 30 days and help them start their life over. And I went, oh my God, this is my calling, to trap women in a house and boss them. I should do this for the rest of my life. And so I got some coach training, and I said, I'm going to start this business. And I did what every entrepreneur, I think, does. I got ready to almost be ready to almost start my business, right? And we happened to be putting Christina Applegate into Sweet Charity. And we had just lost $12 million on Seussical the Musical, and our office was a train wreck, and everybody was panicked, and they had taken our sodas away. If you've ever worked in corporate, you know what that means, right? Like, things are not good. They took the snacks and sodas away. And Christina Applegate had broken her ankle, like in Detroit. She had broken her attitude in Atlanta, and we were trying to bring this show in, and there's this great song in the show. And so we're in the dress tech in the theater, and I've been thinking about starting this coaching business and playing around with it. And there's this great number when all the women come to the front of the stage and they sing, there's got to be something better than this. There's got to be something bigger to do. And when I find that something better to do, I'm going to get up, get out, and go live it. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, they're singing to me. And the next day I was like, I'm a very evolved woman. I watch Oprah. I know first you get the whisper, then you get the 2x4. And the next morning I said, I'm going to start my business. And I did. And I got 2 clients, and they each paid me $50 each a month. I had no idea what I was doing. It was all a total train wreck. It was just saying, I got to move forward in my life. I got to do something bigger. I have to give back. I want to be of service. And that's how it all started.
See, Suzanne, I don't know, you and I have such a kind of strange thing, both educators in so many ways, been in the entertainment. I'm a former professional wrestler. I don't know if you knew that too.
I did know that.
So we both were
in a lot of wrestling as a child too, just so you know.
An entertainment game, and I listened to you and say, yeah, same thing I did when I started, social media coaching and branding. I just took a couple clients. I had no idea what I was doing. I just did it. Because same thing with tutoring. I was a teacher. I'll start tutoring people. And then you learn that process. But success is the thing. Even if it's 1 or 2 people, you have that success, you have that growth, and it motivates you more, right? And that's probably what happened to you.
And action begets action. You know, I got those first two clients, they pay me $50 a month. One of them is my executive assistant to this day. And the joke I make is like, I messed her up so bad that I had to now feel like I have to pay her the rest of her life. Right. But you just put one foot in front of the other. And I think so many people want to start businesses out of a passion.
Right.
And I think that's a massive disaster. If you look up the definition of passion, it's an uncontrollable emotion. Who wants an uncontrollable emotion running a business? And I think most people who try to turn their passion into cash fail. I just wanted a better life. I wanted to make more money, and I didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck. And I was trying to figure out what my skill set was. And I thought, worst thing that can happen, because see, I built that business while working a 60-hour-a-week day job. I stayed in the job for 2 years. I was making $62,000 a year in that job when I left, and I was making $280,000 in the business.
Nice.
Side hustle. And I thought the worst thing that can happen is I still got a job, right? So it's like, I'm a big proponent of don't quit your day job, right? Start a side hustle, figure it out, make it work. And so anything you want to do in life, whether it's lose 10 pounds or it's make $1 million or, you know, or it's write a book, is, well, the first thing you got to do is pick up a damn pen. Yes. And really write poorly before you write well.
That's what that was. I'm sorry, Neil, go ahead.
Yeah, you have to have the Suzanne Evans quotes. Well, I'm waiting for those.
Yeah.
Have these quotes all over the place. You know what I mean? Like some of the major motivational speakers, like Les Brown. You see Les Brown stuff everywhere. Had him on my show on Friday. You know, you're able to see that quote, and I see it because you're a quotable person for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you know, after I had a level of success that was quite successful, I was making a few $1 million a year. I woke up one morning and I said, well, this all sucks. I was like, what do I do now? I figured this all out, and I'm not kidding. I went to my email. I wasn't on Les's list. I mean, I love Les. I know Les. I wasn't even on Les's list. And I got an email that had a quote from him. It was some kind of like somebody had sent his newsletter out that I was on their list. And at the top, it said, if you wake up living your dream, it's not your dream anymore. Changed the course of my life. Started my not-for-profit, changed the course of the business. The business went from 3 million to 6.5 million that year. But that was because of a Les Brown quote.
Oh, good. I'll have to tell Les I have a part 2 on Monday.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Jen, with your question for Suzanne.
Neil,
awesome.
You're on social media, dear. So you're going to have to get all those tweets out for me. We have to talk about that.
I know that. See, now you finally are hiring the right person. But again, I am the right person to manage anyone's social media all over the world. But that's.
I know. I have to give you jazz. Suzanne, when you're talking about when people say passion, you know, I think of it as just a buzzword that hopefully will be leaving soon. And the reason I think it came in is because people kept saying, oh, this is business. It's not personal. It's business. Well, you know what? Business is personal. It's who we are. We're selling ourselves no matter what you're selling. Whether you're over the phone or you're in front of somebody or in an audience, you're still selling yourself. And it is very, very personal. Can you give us a personal story that helped you get to where you are after you hit that wall, and you're redoing your plan? What did you do in your plan that was different than it was before that propelled you further?
Oh, well, you know, I always do. People always say, Suzanne, you seem so courageous and you seem fearless. And I'm like, I am hysterically afraid all the time, right? Like I am anxious and afraid and worried. And, but what I'm aware of is that I can be anxious and afraid and worried and accomplishing something, or I can be anxious, afraid, and worried and doing nothing. So I just choose to get some rewards off of my fear, right? So I know that when we sit in a meeting in our office or whatever, and everybody's like, things are going well, like, this is great, this is good. I'm like, oh no, we're in trouble, right? Like we need to shake something up. So for me, that particular story that I told, I started a not-for-profit in Zimbabwe where we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for a women's art center and craft center, where when we met those women and we trained them for 6 years, the project is now over, but we trained them for almost 6.5 years. And when we met them, they were making $1 to $5 a week. When we left, they were making $5 to $10 a day. It changed their entire lives. Some of them had started their own businesses. So that was a big leap. I also created a couple of different divisions in my company around that time. Pearl was talking about an event that you're going to be coming to in a few months. And I launched a speaking division in my company, and I launched a video production division in my company. I also built a huge house that was incredibly expensive on the water. So, I mean, I just went like, do it all. Like, you know, you've gotten here, you're living your dream, like put it all. I live in such a state that everything is reversible. I really believe that. Like everything is change outable. Everything is reversible. So the worst thing that could happen is I can be an executive assistant making $62,000 a year, living in New York City. That wasn't a bad life either, right? Because I'm one of those people, if you assign me to shovel shit, I'm going to be the best shit shoveler. I'm going to be the happiest shit shoveler, and I'm going to recruit other people to do it as well. So it will never matter really what I'm doing with my life or in my life, because I make whatever is I'm experiencing greatness in that moment for me. But so I'm like, why not risk it all? Right? Go big, right? And that's what we did. We blew a lot of things up, and it was a scary time after that.
Sure.
A lot of money was spent, a lot of decisions were made, but you know, the other side of that was, you know, the next incredible level.
Wow.
That is so cool, because either fear can just make you stay in your tracks, freeze the hell out of you,
Well,
or it can propel you
you
further.
know, you're the queen of gratitude, or the godmother of gratitude, or the goddess of gratitude, or the mother. I couldn't remember which one. I'm sorry.
I'm a mom. So when I became a mom, as you know, because we mother, that's what we do. And it's not just us, it's everyone. But when I became a mother, I realized I became a mother of gratitude. And
Yeah.
that everyone, you know, that mothers is a mother of gratitude, and that we have to download the love and send it out. And it's the one thing that can go across all party lines, religions, everything, is the kindness factor.
Well, I'm so grateful for fear, right? I come
Right.
from a background in the Broadway theater industry, and so fear is nothing but manipulated adrenaline. So if you learn to manipulate fear, right, you can turn it into adrenaline. And so when you look at some of the greatest athletes in the world, they have become psychological masters of manipulating fear and turning it into adrenaline, and getting across the finish line first, or grabbing the brass ring first, or, you know, or getting the most points. And so I also spend a lot of time on understanding the psychology of fear. I can never make fear go away, but I can really manipulate it.
Well, it's that point where it's that few seconds before you hit the stage, because my background is theater and film and everything else. So it's that second, you know, that 1 second before you go on, and you're just, and it propels you.
Yeah.
And then when you cross that line and you're in, it's everything in the world.
Yeah.
So I was able to experience Suzanne firsthand, helping. I didn't get picked out of the audience, and I don't know, maybe it might have been a good thing, but I don't know. I wasn't too far away from some of the ones that got picked. However, you know, I got to witness firsthand what makes Suzanne different, and that is, she doesn't let you stand in your fear. Like, she calls you right out, right there with your business. Like, I watched firsthand men and women in that audience where they, you know, well, why aren't you successful? And they go, no. And Suzanne's like, no, come on. What is, like, she gets you right to that heart. No BS. You know what it is. You know what it is. You know what fear is holding you back. You know why that fear is holding you back. And so why are you letting it hold you back? I mean, Suzanne was like right there. I was like, I had a friend with me, actually was with two friends, and I texted my friend the other day when I told her that we were going to be talking. I'm like, she was, oh my gosh, she's changed my life. And I made her come with me to that event, because she kept saying, but I'm this, I'm that. And you guys have all heard me on this show say, I stood behind being a mom for many years, and I knew I was not a mom. I'm an amazing coach. I am an amazing empowerment coach that helps women change their lives. And so Suzanne is part of what brought me, that was 4 years ago, to say it's time to do something with it. Instead of standing behind over here, just being that health coach, I can empower you to do more. So for me, Suzanne, I got to witness what change, what makes you different as any other coach I've been to, as any other thing I've been to. I walked out of there with so many different tools and the ability to take some courses through you. But for those that are listening, help them understand what makes you different, what I felt and saw. Can you share with them some of those things of what you do and how you don't let us stand behind our fear?
I think there's a few things. I think one would be, there's a lot of discussion around the world needing more kindness. And I don't think the world needs more kindness. I think it needs more honesty. I think honesty is the kindest thing you can do for people. And I think we are raising children to be screwed up and messed up, and we're giving them participation trophies, and we're saying we need to be kind to everyone, and the world is not kind, and it will never be kind. No. And so, people ask me all the time, especially now that I am a mom, like, what's the number one thing you want your child to learn? And I want my child to learn to win. And people go, oh, awesome. And I'm like, yeah, I want him to be a winner. He will not always win. No way. And when he doesn't win, he needs to learn to lose. But we don't raise winners anymore. My parents we were taught winning like we were taught manners. Right. And there was time to teach us winning and the importance of winning. And, my sister and her husband and our family were doing like a little steakhouse, in quarantine steakhouse dinner tonight, and they're bringing board games, and we will crucify each other. And it is serious. And it's because I think anything worth doing is worth winning. And so I think sorry, Neil, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. And the thing is, being the best you can be is going to help you win. If you can't be the best you can be, forget about it. Don't look at what other people are doing. Set goals that are your goals. Do you agree with me on that? I don't like.
Yes, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, because I'm in business, and so it matters what other people are doing, and I need to whip their ass.
Okay.
And I mean, I need to.
I truly am too, but I believe that if I set the bar high, it's going to be as high as.
Of course, and it's always about your own competitive greatness, of course. But yeah, I think that we don't acknowledge winning enough, and we don't practice it, and we don't have a deep understanding of it. And so I think that's the one piece. And the other piece I would just add, Pearl, from the original question is, I don't care if people like me. I just don't care.
Why do you care what people think? Who gives a damn about them? Meaning, I care about helping them, but if they don't like me, I don't care. I don't.
I tell people.
Jen's been on calls with me before, and she knows that. I don't care if you like me. The bottom line is, I'm going to do what's best for you. You're not, because the higher you get, as successful as you are, more and more people are not going to like you. Success breeds people that breeds haters, and it's really true. And I'm not to the level that you are, Suzanne, but the same thing is that the more success I have, the more people don't like me, because I tell the truth. And so I've never seen your courses, not read your books or anything. So this is just me getting to know you, right? It's a getting to know you phase. And I'm impressed by that kind of attitude, because the truth is, we're always just trying to make it so everyone could be good and great. No.
Neil, that's why I was coaching a young girl this morning, and she's like, but my friends are like, she's a senior in high school, and this whole new virtual thing, and I'm not around my friends, and something happened to me. Even our guest last week, right, talks about how when tragedy happens, those people who you think are your friends, all of a sudden they're gone, right? And she asked me, Pearl, how many friends do you have? I said, I can tell you I have many friends, but I can tell you on one hand, I have my ride or die. And I said, I can tell you that ride or die. I can tell you I have one friend. She'll get on an airplane no matter where she's at and come where I am. So you're right, Neil. I mean, success, you have to have your own success, shackle it in. And, not everybody's going to like you as you succeed, and part of that's jealousy, that they're not doing what they want to do, that they're not in that spot in their life, that they're going after their goals. So that's not going to hold me back. I'm going to move forward and do what I have set myself out to do.
I can't think of a single time in my life when I've been criticized or, kind of had a challenge with someone who was doing more than me. Right? I mean, just take that in, right? I mean, I've never been criticized by someone who was doing more than me. That person might go, might disagree with me. You're always going to be criticized and challenged and all of that by people doing less than you. And so for me to spend the time, and I think that is one of the things that makes my events different, is most coaches, and I would say, when I say most, I mean 95% of coaches out there want to make you feel better. And when you feel better, they feel better. And I have no desire to do that. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how you feel about me. I actually don't care how you feel about what we're doing or how you feel about yourself.
Yes.
I am hired to do a job of helping people to build businesses and make more money. And I certainly believe you can have fun in the process, but quite frankly, you can't have fun all the time in the process.
No, work is work, and do your very best will be worthwhile, the result at the end. Jen, next question. Again, Suzanne and I have a lot in common, but I'm waiting for her to attack me, because one of the goals I want to do on this show today is I want all three of us to put our businesses out there and see what Suzanne says.
Oh, fun. Oh, that's my favorite thing to do.
That's a great strategy.
She'll be all over that.
I'm putting everyone on a spot today.
I love it. I love it.
Pearl's coaching, my serial businesses, and see what Suzanne says. And
all right, you got 30 minutes, Neil.
I'm good at some.
I'm good.
I'm
good.
Neil, go.
Don't worry.
No, Jen, we're not there yet. We got to keep going the story of Suzanne.
The story. Finish the story, man. Suzanne, one of the things, going back to Neil. I think one of the reasons why she's successful is because not a lot of women go around and they don't say, I'm doing this with the brass ovaries that she has, number one. Because everybody, we're here, I was brought up Southern and was bucking the system since day one. So I understand that part of it, Suzanne. I was from Athens, Georgia, but actually Newberry, South Carolina. But she's the first person that said, I'm not sorry if you don't like me. And this is what I'm doing. And so automatically she shifted everything from this, we're going to be nice today and subservient and teach you how to be nice women with good companies and take care of them, the crap that we're supposed to be doing. And she's the first one that came with her sledgehammer and said, this is bullshit and we're redoing this. So, and this is really cool because everybody can relate to her. So I'm talking about you like you're not even here, Suzanne. And we can relate to her because we've all been that secretary, that's like, Jesus, what do I do with this typewriter? I hate this. And I was the worst secretary on earth. I did not have spell check. I had, there was not enough of the whiteout that goes on the typewriter for me. This is before, people don't even understand what I'm talking about. But we had typewriters back then. So it's been really cool to see her, doing the things that like Oprah, and when you talk about Yolanda, Fix My Life, and all of that, Suzanne's doing it. She's just bringing her sledgehammer saying, we got to break this because it's not working for you. And you got to break it yourself and push through and go higher and keep going higher. And that's the cool thing about you, Suzanne, and what you do. And I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that.
And so, Pearl, let's go with the question, but I'll definitely leave time for her business expertise because that's what she's really bringing in the coaching is, I want your business to thrive and there should be nothing stopping you from doing that. And during the midst of a pandemic, everyone needs to hear that and hear it from us and what's going on with us and hearing her attitude of what we need to do instead of just saying, we'll get to it sometime. Because I coach people all the time and I hear that. But go ahead, Pearl.
So what I love too about Suzanne is like she's doing what a lot of us have been sitting back doing through this pandemic. Like she's created this virtual take the stage, right? Like, I mean, I'm a speaker too, an author and speaker, and so it's like, how do you get yourself out there in this virtual world right now? And I mean, like I said, 2 weeks ago, I did my first virtual speaking engagement where I couldn't see anybody in the room, right? And I felt like I nailed it. I made a friend come stand in my office so I could at least feel like I was looking at somebody. But, so Suzanne, you're helping everybody do that shift. And that's something you said you added to your business. So what can people expect from that program? Because I'm really excited about being at that event in November.
Sure. Well, let me kind of give some context to, I think, what people should be thinking about right now, like what all business owners should be thinking about is that two things are for certain. One is we're a year away from at least a year away from being back in person in somewhat of a similar, a normal state of events and conferences and all of that. And I don't know, could be longer than that, but I think at least a year. Also, because what has been extracted from this time of what is possible virtual, I think some will never go back.
No.
Because I can give you an example. Our in-person events over the years have cost anywhere from about 200,000 to 700,000, just depending on the event and the scale and how many people are there. And, I can do a virtual event with twice the people for, 50, 70,000. So, we did our event in June. We do a spring event and a fall event. Our spring event in June, after I had my son, we just kind of pulled everything back just a little bit because I wasn't on the road as much as I had been. And so we used to have 1,000 people at our event, but the last 4 years, our goal had been like 400 to 500, right? And that event would cost a couple of $100,000. Well, we put 1,000 people into it virtually, and it was a $70,000 event. And you can imagine what that does for revenues, right? From coaching sales and all of that. So everybody's got to get on the virtual train, and they've got to get clear about what that looks like. Between US started feeling COVID craziness around March 11th. By March 14th, we had launched a community called the More Than Okay Club. And we had, in a week and a half time, we had about 3,000 people in it. Over the course of 8 weeks, we put about 7,000 people in it, a free program. I knew that we had to go virtual. We had to go, I've always done some things virtual, but we had to go virtual, we had to go fast, and people needed help and people were panicked. And I'm sharing all of this with you because if you're having the same conversations with your clients and customers that you had 6 months ago, you're dead in the water. If you're doing business the same way you did it 6 months ago, you're dead in the water. But I'm also not a big person. Everybody's like, pivot, pivot, pivot. I'm more like plant yourself than pivot. Like, the stuff that has worked over the years, that's really worked. I'm talking about like the Zig Ziglar stuff. I'm talking about like, old school business and marketing stuff from 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's back. It's just on Zoom. Right. So it's about relationships, and it's about connections, and it's about speaking. And so from about March 12th till about June 1st, I probably did about 45 virtual speaking gigs.
Wow.
And here's the catch. Most of the world doesn't understand virtual. Most associations, organizations, clubs, conferences, meetings, local, regional groups, they don't work in this world that the four of us are working in naturally right now. So we went to all of those places and said, we got you, we'll take over your meeting. Well, that was just one kind of thing that we did. And so we did 45 speaking gigs. Sometimes it would be 25, 35 people, and sometimes it would be 3,000 people right on for a meeting. But there's so much opportunity right now. And as Neil knows, being an educator, people don't know how to teach online.
Oh, it's awful. No, they don't. No.
Teachers don't, and bless their heart, it wasn't their job to know that in the beginning, but teachers don't know how, business people don't know how. No. The greatest speakers in the world that I get to hang out with, most of them don't know how to speak online.
That's true.
They know how to take a big stage at a big conference or association. So you got to conquer this. You got to know that the world is virtual. There's so much. Let me just tell you the joy I am having of sitting in my house and being booked 3 times a week for speaking gigs, and I don't eat a Marriott salad, and I don't have to get on a plane, and I don't have to leave my kids. I had pulled way back on my speaking because I didn't want that life anymore. And now it's all we're doing because it's so easy to do. So hopefully there's some nuggets in there for folks.
No, I think it's a huge nuggets, and I can unpack that real quickly. It's just the fact is, I agree with you. Why do all these people do these business trips to be in person with people when they can learn to interact together? And how I know it's horrible for business travel, but they're gonna have to figure out that way of giving other people opportunities to afford flights and get away instead of the business traveler. But the relationships can be the same online. It's just everyone needs to learn. They don't know how to set up a Zoom. A lot of people over 40 don't know how to set up a Zoom. Secondly, they don't understand how the technology of sharing your screen and the amount of time that you save. So all those things.
Yeah, time, money. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
I can do 3 speeches a day where I used to be able to maybe do 3 speeches a month because of all the constraints, right? So it's an amazing time to be in business. And I know that sounds crazy during the times that we're in right now, but there's so much opportunity. There are more problems in the world right now than there have ever been in our lifetimes. And we're in the business of solving problems. So this for me is shooting fish in a barrel.
Exactly. All right, Jen. Pearl or Jen? Which one?
Well, this
So
is
I want to say you're talking about, Neil, you're talking about the whole over 40. So I live in a neighborhood of 85 homes, and they were not doing our HOA meetings because they're like, we can't meet. I'm like, we have Zoom. We have Zoom. I go, we have Zoom. Finally, they're like, okay, we'll do Zoom. And they're like, everybody's screaming over each other. I text the guy. I'm like, there's a button called mute. Can you please hit the mute button? I mean, like, it was just crazy, but you're right. I mean, everything is shifting. Like, my coaching is now becoming we're doing more online, and you're right, Suzanne. I don't need to have a brick and mortar. I don't need to meet you. I can just do it all online, and I can bring 2 or 3 of you at one time on that same subject and save so much time. And I love what you said about the speaking virtually, because I just went into one I did a couple weeks ago. I thought, well, I'm just going to do like I've always done it. I usually show up in my pajamas. I show up with my shackles on my arms, and I come in with my song. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. Whether they can see me or not, they're going to get the same thing. And I felt like I had to do that because I was the opening speaker for the weekend. So it's like, if I don't start you off strong, I can make or break the whole weekend, right? And it was so fun to do it the same way. And my friend, like I said, she came in here and sat. She's like, I felt like we were right in the stage with 1,000 people. I'm like, I know we were, right? So I love that you shared that people, we have to learn that. And I'm glad you shared about that word pivot. It's like, I like the word plant, because it's like, you're so right. That word pivot just has been driving me nuts this year. So Jen?
I'm easily to be off balance just doing yoga. So I'm not good at pivoting when it comes to, psychologically, because I'm going to need my other foot to pivot with. But I think one of the really cool things about COVID, it's been challenging for me being, I'm used to being on the stage or working on my movie or doing something different. But the one thing that I've loved from this is the luxury and privilege that we have with social media, and how Zoom and how other social media has taught us to appreciate where we are in our own home. We don't need to spend the extra money, and we can get out of it exactly what you're talking about, and being able to go to a conference anywhere. We can all work from home. Who knew? I thought we were working on this concept like 10 years ago, but apparently not. It took COVID to get us to where we're like, oh, we can do this at home and I don't need a brick and mortar. How do you think that
Although
yeah,
I think we're finding that from a business world standpoint, working from home does not work.
Yeah.
And running organizations, an individual can work from home, and a solopreneur certainly can. But I think the cracks in the infrastructure of the psychology of business, the leadership, the productivity, all of that, I think we're going to find that all the things we said about working from home and that we should be going that direction, people are really being hit in the head with, oh, we are human beings having interactive experiences. And, I think my team is a little crazy right now. And I mean that literally. Like, I have a fairly young team. A lot of them are single, or a lot of them are home alone. And I'm thinking, from a productivity standpoint and a progress standpoint, there's going to be such a giant pendulum swing where actually remote work is going to backfire over the next 2 to 3 years.
you don't think that we're going to find balance on that, doing both?
I don't. I mean, we already have. I mean, there's going to be companies that want to, companies that don't want to, but as a whole, it's always been driven by the employer. By the employee, and by HR and leader trainers. Sorry, go ahead.
So yes, I was just completely saying it, but I appreciate. I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm sorry, Suzanne.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
The point I'm making, and I see that completely, in management sense of things, it's difficult. I've always had to hire people, outsource people, and they were never next to me. So it's worked out. But I could see companies, because I wear 2 hats. I wear multiple hats. I have 3 businesses or 4 businesses of my own. Plus, I work for somebody. And I see from the person I'm working with, the company, it's a pretty big company, And none of the people online are figuring it out, especially their sales reps that are used to traveling. So the management end of looking at what productivity versus results is missing. And it's a component, I think, Suzanne, you're going to be able to teach not just entrepreneurs, but C-suites and different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what's really interesting is I think employees are finding out they don't love it. And what they're really uncovering is, oh, I like to have some flexibility. Like, and we do that within our company. We have flex days that people can choose to use and work from home. And I love having that as a perk of our business. But my employees are like, I want to get in and just get around a table and do something. I want to talk about something. So I think it's going to be a lot of interesting fallout from that. And I think that we're going to discover that all that money we thought we were saving by not bringing people into the office, we are losing in lack of productivity.
Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because people need people. You flourish,
Yes.
you flourish. And if you don't know what gifts you have unless you're opening them, and then you've got another one there.
Barbara Streisand knew it all along. People who need people.
Oh God, I love her. I love her.
Unless you get rid of the 40-hour week and make it just based on productivity and make it 25 hours a week, and it's not hours, it's based on production. And that's what the millennials want. And I don't know how that.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right now. And my wife is my president of my company, and she said something to me this was probably 7 or 8 years ago when we first went brick and mortar. I said, I'm loving this so much more. It's so much more productive. It's great. And I said, and sometimes I feel tied to being there. And she said, remember when we made this decision, the office is not for you, it's for them. And so I come and go as I want, but I have a container for the company, and that container works really beautifully, but I don't have to, it's my business. I don't have to be there every single day, every hour. It is for the company. It is not for me.
Yeah. That's a great outlook.
All right. So Pearl, so we're getting close to running out of time. I'm the one that wants to put out my business. I'm willing to do that.
You think?
Hey,
I know. I always am.
for a treat, Neil.
There's no. I want advice. You get 100,000. If you can have an expert in business and get that advice, I'm going to let myself jump in, because I always let them deliver questions. I'm in a new phase with business. I'm trying to outsource a lot more. Myself by myself is not working.
Yeah.
Because I've learned from COVID, and I kind of was ready to scale before COVID. Then I said, Eureka, I am best at selling, and I am best at getting out and getting on the phone with people to get more sales for my social media, branding, coaching, et cetera, businesses, podcasting, coaching, consulting, whatever, that I need to have other people do other things. And that's the process of bringing on subcontractors that has always been, well, they can't do the work as well as me. And you hear these stories all the time, how to scale.
Yeah.
Now, finally, I'm saying, I'm tired of this. I always let in the back of my mind saying, I can't have more expenses. And today I'm saying, no, I'm trying to hire the right people, put the right people on board, and understand each one's position. Working for another company, I learned the operations side now, that not everyone's always in the right position. But once you put them in the right position, your team works better and everything works out well. So how can you keep me from that fear of saying I'm now going to have to sell so much more new sales a month?
Well, it's funny. I don't know enough about your business to know this for certain, but I'll just share this. I don't always think your answer is outsourcing. Certainly people as they grow need more help, right?
And I'm going to have people that are they're not salaried. I say outsource. They're working 20 hours a week for me. They're not. I'm not Fiverr or the other. These are people.
I'll tell you something I wrote down yesterday from a genius friend of mine. It said the right role done poorly by you is far better than doing the wrong role well. And the idea is that you have to be able to do every role in your company amazingly. Every role in your company.
I'm at that point now.
Yeah, you must morph into whatever your company needs you to be. And then once you hit that, You hire for where you're going, not for where you are. And that's an interesting thing when we go back to me telling that story of waking up and going, oh, it's not my dream anymore. I did some massive hires that just wiped us out financially. And I had to have the right strategy, right? I had to have the right plan, and I had to have the commitment and the clarity around that strategy to know that there was going to be a payoff. But here's the thing, Neil, you got to know. Most people fail in what you're about to do because they don't understand that it's going to cost them money for a significant amount of time before it makes them money.
Well, then if it's a break-even point, is that fine?
It probably won't even be a break even. If it's done well, it probably won't even be a break even. It's nice if you can get it there, but every time I hire a new salesperson, just as an example, it costs me money for a good 6 months. Cost me money. And then we hit kind of an even point. And then of course you're like, great, this person is really adding, $24,000 a month to our bottom line. And so people freak out and retreat because when they see that spending more than they're making, and that is the very nature of scale. The nature of scale is you get to a certain level and you either flatline, you retreat, or you die. You either flatline, retreat, or die. And so you to move forward, you actually have to retreat a little bit. You have to go into the negative a little bit. You're not going to have the gross or the net that you had for a while. And it's going to take, and you will work twice as hard, Neil.
I'm already seeing that from times I've done it.
Because now you have to train people. So now you have to do your job, their job, and then train them how to eventually do their job.
Luckily, I'm a teacher. But yes.
Yeah.
But you have to know how to do every job possible right. What great coaching. But again, no one's saying that. They're saying, okay, so let me give you an example. I'm upping my team up to 3,000 in staff or 4,000 in staff a month. I want to do 8,000 in sales. I'm setting the bar high for myself, saying I want to do that so that it pays for itself. I'm at this point where I'm profiting enough that I can put that money in.
So let me ask you a question. So you need to make 8,000 more a month. Is that what you're saying? Or hit 8,000?
In sales, new sales. When I get new sales.
So how many units do you need to sell to hit 8,000 a month? More 8,000.
Probably like 5-6 clients.
Okay, so let's say 6. Let's say 6. What's your conversion rate?
85% when I get them on the phone.
Then that's a problem. If you have an 85% conversion rate, you have a really bad business model. You should never be converting more than 40 to 50%. That means either your rates are too low or you don't have enough volume in sales. So that's, I could give you 5 or 6 nuggets right here. So that's your number one problem. I never want us converting over 40%. It means our rates are too low, if that's the case. So that's number one. Number two, if it's 6 people and you said let's just say you're at a 50% conversion rate just for ease, right? That that means you need 12 solid sales conversations a month, right, to hit your goal. If you need 12 solid sales conversations, it means you need 36 high quality leads every single month, right? Because the math is that you multiply times 3 whatever you need your sales conversations to be, because about 1 in 3 people that you have a really solid lead with will actually follow through to have a conversation with you. But I also bet you're not converting at 85%. My gut is you don't really know what your conversion is because you don't have enough.
That's right. That's why I'm bringing an office manager in starting next week.
Yeah, you're not tracking it. You don't have the data.
Yeah, that's why I'm taking an area. I'm bringing an office manager in to work full time for me. So that's
that's great. That's
okay. Great. Okay. And they're going to be crunching the financials part. They're going to be the crunching that my invoices. So I focus on what I'm best at.
Yeah.
I don't know.
First thing you outsource always is your invoicing, right? Because you need to get paid. And if you get a day late on trying to get paid or all of that, you always want to do that. So you're making a really smart move, and do the numbers, do the math. And when you do that math, if we know you need 36 a month, that means that you need 9 a week, which means you need a couple a day. And you will know if you put your head on the pillow at night, if you didn't get your 2 high quality leads that day, there's not a mystery why the business isn't working. There's not like a strategy problem. There's not this, it's that you didn't get your 2 leads, and everything in business is math. And if you do the math, you cannot fail.
Agree. I agree. Okay. That was great advice. I'm sorry, but I think that's what every one of our listeners needed to hear.
Awesome.
Just attack me. It's not an attack, but it's truth. It's so truth, but I want to know that going in that I'm going to lose money. But I think hiring an office manager, because I'm not very good at managing a business. I'm good at selling. I'm good at
But
performing.
you've got to get good at managing a business.
I'm good, but I mean, I can't keep managing my business to grow.
Right? But you can be better because you didn't know what your true conversion was. So you get better listen, this is for everybody. If your sales suck, it's because you suck. If your business sucks, it's because you suck. If your clients suck, it's because you suck. If your conversion rate sucks, it's because you suck, right? So fix you before you hire. Fix you and then hire, and everything fixes itself.
Neil, welcome to an event of Suzanne Evans.
I believe it. I'm going to go back at you. I believe I'm ready, Suzanne, for that.
Yeah, and you may very well.
The office manager to give them everything they need.
Absolutely.
Slowly but surely, boom,
Absolutely.
and then I'm free. Then
And
I'm
Neil, can I
talented enough to do it, and then I outsource the rest.
Absolutely.
On the sales, and then try to scale. But I agree with you completely. You're right, but I don't think.
It sounds like it's a perfect next step for you. Absolutely.
Okay.
And Neil, can I share what I do? So, because I do some outsourcing too. So I record everything I'm doing. So like before I bring them on, I record what it is I want them to do. So I record every step. So that way I'm going to train them. But then if that person leaves or I have to let them go, I've already got it recorded. It's already trained. So I can bring in that next virtual assistant or whoever that is I bring in. I'm like, okay, go through this. Here's a training. Let's get together after you listen to whatever. I break it up in steps and I regroup. That way, while they're training and they're listening to what you recorded and training them on, you can be making those calls.
Wow, I put myself out there today, and aren't you glad I did? But I completely agree. That's the part I am, is I want to learn from experts. And hearing you and saying, I want to be where Suzanne is someday, and I know I'm going to be, but I need to know it's not going to take me 60 years to do it, or I'll be dead. So there you go. That I need to say, okay, I believe that's where the process is. I was working on it before Suzanne. But you're right, there are gaps, and those are the gaps. Financially understanding all those different things. It's life, but you have to understand. Now we're going to throw it over to Jen.
Sorry, another suggestion. Sorry. If you've never read John Wooden's book, do you know who John Wooden is? The famous basketball coach, UCLA?
Oh, yeah.
Read his books on leadership. I love his work, and he says something, when his guys, and he coached the greatest of the great, everybody did the same thing the very first week of basketball practice his entire 35 years. And that was, he taught them how to put socks and shoes on. And he said, because a blister will bring down a giant. So have the fundamentals and the conditioning always in place, and then build everything from it.
Now we'll hand it to gratitude. I am gratitude to have this booking and to get to interview Suzanne Evans with such fantastic people. Jen, let's go to the gratitude question and closing it out. It's okay also, Pearl, to go past a little bit of over an hour.
I know.
Some of that. Trust me, for radio, we'll cut different things, but for having this great podcast, because she just provided nuggets that most experts would not provide. And thank you.
That's so true. And most business people, they need to hear that. And I mean, they're missing out on those nuggets right there. Knowing where your money comes from, your dollar comes from, those are huge nuggets. And I know from living with an auditor and a CPA that runs my business, he watches that all the time. So I get it. So
my
Jen, go
office
for it.
manager is coming on, worked for a nonprofit. It's a pretty big nonprofit nationally. So she understands all those different things.
Yeah.
That's good. But go ahead, Jen.
Yeah.
I am so thankful and so honored to have you on our show today, Suzanne. And Neil, now you understand why we love her so much.
Yes.
And I want to go with you to see her in November, because all I've been hearing about is Suzanne's coming. So that is just awesome. Could you give us a story of gratitude or a moment of gratitude that has changed your life?
Yeah.
The birth can do that, but what is one of those really cool things of gratitude that's hit you?
Yeah, I would say for me, I am most grateful for the opportunity to, everybody says failure, right? I learned from failure and all that. I'm not really grateful for failure. right? I mean, I see it as like, if we could avoid failing, that would be really awesome, right? But what I am really grateful for, and I think that when I think about like a story of gratitude, it is the recognition that you're always going in the direction that you're meant to go, even when you don't get what it is you want. And we could go to Garth Brooks' unanswered prayers song, or whatever that is, but there's so many things that I've really wanted in my life that not getting them got me something different or better. And because I talked about this earlier, I am such a winning mindset, like winning person, that I have to remind myself that I'm always trying to avoid failure and figure things out so we don't. But failure is different than losing. And I'm really grateful for losing. And sometimes I lose. And in that losing, I am provided with an opportunity to meet someone different, go in a different direction, make a different connection. We don't have time for it here, and I won't go into it. But my son, who was born via surrogate, and from donors in the UK, was an amazing example of winning from losing, and something I'm the most grateful for. And it's been such a great North Star for me in understanding that not getting what you want gets you what you need.
Exactly. I just did a small movie called Always, and it's about my two friends who are gay and they couldn't get married at the time. And they both, wanted children. Okay, one of them wanted children. Alan talked him into it. Alan's been on it, like, he has to be a mom. So they looked all around and finally found a doctor, one of the first doctors in California doing the surrogacy. And that's the movie's Always, and Always and Forever. And this is how they wanted to show their son how he came into the world, because he kind of figured it out that they couldn't carry him. Alan kept going, I'm dancing around that subject every time he asked, like, how long was I in your stomach? And he goes, I keep dancing. And I'm like, I think he's 10, Alan. I think he figured it out. Yeah. So we made a movie on that. And I think surrogacy is one of the most beautiful things that we can do. And when you can't have your own, or, how do you want to have your own? We can do that now with the technology that we have.
Yeah.
So are you having more? Or are you sticking with one? Because you have a toddler right now, and my toddler.
I have a 4-year-old, and I'm old. So I get a little worried about being old.
Old.
Yeah. I would say that right now we are where we are, but we do have 6 other embryos. They donated, 5, they donated 6 to us. So it's an interesting scenario, because you have all of this opportunity, and it's fascinating.
Not like dogs, you just can't get a bunch of them.
I know. And they don't crate well, so.
They don't crate well. They look down on you for crating them and going to the movies, right?
Right, that's right.
So Suzanne, where can we find you at? Where can everybody find you at, and what do you have upcoming?
Yeah, well, my company is Driven Inc., and that's INC, not INK. We don't do any tattoos. So it's driveninc.com. But for everybody listening, we are gifting you, which we actually never do, and decided to do it, a free gift, a free ticket to our November event, which is Take the Stage. And we train authors and speakers and aspiring speakers and business owners and entrepreneurs and not-for-profits and people who just believe they have a message and something they want to share with the world, how to turn that into a great talk, whether virtual or in person, and how to use that to make an impact in the world, make money, grow their business. So it's Take the Stage, and you can get a free ticket at SuzannesFreeGift.com. So it's SUZANNES freegift.com, SuzannesFreeGift.com.
I'm going to be there too. So.
I can't wait, Bill. That'd be awesome. I'd love to have you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, this is the person I need to coach me. If you're the Michael Jordan of business, that's what you got to do. And I'm sure, especially with the John Wooden comment, I love it. And then again, I interviewed Coach Dale Brown. He's a big disciple of Wooden. All right, go ahead, Jen, and close out our.
Nice. Well, thank you all for listening with us today. We hope to have brought you some gratitude and motivation into your own life. Thank you, Suzanne Evans. Thank you, Neil. And thank you, Pearl, for being a part of our show. And remember, you are blessed, you are loved, and you are sacred. Mwah. I love you. Have a beautiful day.
All right, Jen. So how was that? Okay, so listen, how many times do I say to Neil, I want us to have an amazing business coach come on. I never put it out there to him. I just didn't know if that was the connection that he could get. And bam, drop the mic. Who was here this week? But none other than a Suzanne Evans, right?
Suzanne Evans, she is the kick-ass business boss type of woman. And I love the fact she's so relatable, going from being in an office, being as a secretary, to throwing everything into one basket, and the basket is herself.
Absolutely. And as somebody who's been in, like I said, I've been in the room and been in that big room where she talked about having over 3,000 people in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, I watched her firsthand do exactly just a look, like what she did with Neil was just a drip in the bucket of what she does when you're in person. If you're listening and you ever have the opportunity to get in a room with her, go. But this free, I mean, come on, you guys.
You can do
free. No, it's November. I mean, if you are somebody who's sitting and listening to this and says, I want to go speak, I want to share my book, whatever that is that's holding you back, do not miss out on this opportunity, because it's a $97 ticket or $150 or $147 VIP ticket. So if you are not on that stage with in there, and it's virtual in November, you have no reason not to be involved. It's a 3-day event. Come on, grab your free ticket, Suzanne'sFreeGift.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't miss out, right, Jen? You're going to be there with me.
Oh, I'm going to be there with you. Absolutely. We might be side by side. I mean, I just, with our computers. I think the best thing that she said was that how virtually COVID has taken us into this world, to where that this is now the balance, right? Because, before we were going to be virtual office, paperless society, and that we're going to have both. We're going to have the brick and mortar, and then also we're going to have the virtual, so that she's able to be at home. We're all able to be at home, but we also have the part where the real production is going out and being around people and that's energy. There's nothing like being in front of a live audience.
No, not at all.
No. I've been on that stage, and let me tell you, whether it's talking to people or being in a play, whatever the show is, there's nothing like the energy that you get being in front of people and being able to talk to them afterwards, and then hearing how what you were saying clicked into exactly what they needed at the same time in their life. And then that's when the light bulb goes off, and that's when everything makes sense.
Absolutely. I love when she said about if your systems suck, if your programs suck, then you probably suck. And that's so true. If it's not working, then why is it not working? And you have to look within, and then you need to, like, you have a coach, I have a coach. I mean, you need to get that help to help you see, because sometimes you may think, oh, it's perfect, but it's not. Something's not happening with it. Well, why? Let's take a look at it. And so that's where what she said was so important about, okay, why is it not working? What am I doing wrong that I could do better? And then the advice she gave Neil about bringing on somebody to help, make sure you're bringing them on for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. Don't have them come on if it's because your system sucks and you think they're going to make it better. It's still your system, you still got to fix it.
And that's the hard part, right? Because we think everything's great and we're doing good and we just need more help over here, more help over there. And it's not the case. But I think one of the things that she said that made so much sense to me is, no, you're going to lose money. Go into this knowing you're going to lose money, okay? So when I gamble, because I love to gamble when I gamble, it's been a while, but I have X amount of dollars. It's just like if I'm going to Disney, okay? Whether, I'm going to Vegas, the average person spends under $100 a day, but they go knowing how much money they're going to spend. It's going to be like $100 or whatever to see a Vegas show per person. How many are you going to see? You have that kind of, when I go on vacation, man, if I had my life planned out like I did that one week I'm on vacation, holy moly.
Right?
Yeah, I'm shopping. I got this amount of money. I'm going to eat dinner. I got that amount of money. I mean, it's like I'm Monopoly. I got the Monopoly money going. I know exactly how much I'm spending, right? And not when I go to the grocery store, not. But if we could have some of her mindset, and it's common sense. It's nothing that you don't know when she says it. When
Right.
she talks to you, you understand it. You can receive it. I think that's one of her hidden powers, is that it's easy to receive.
And some people have a block, like they don't want to hear it, they don't want to receive it. And so you need to receive it. You need to hear it. And it's not because you're doing it all wrong. It's not because you're, a bad person, nothing. It's just that sometimes we believe it, that we don't see the things and move things away to see it's a great start, and it could be this much better if you do this, or this,
Right.
or it's a great start and you need a tweak over here, or it's a great program, but you're just not selling it. Let's sell it this way. Right. So that's the really important part, if you're listening, is open to receiving, and then taking the nuggets you heard today and start applying them.
Plant them.
Plant them. Yes. No pivoting. Planting. I love that.
We're planting it. We're shackling it in, and we're
Shackling.
planting those babies.
Yep. Absolutely.
We're not pivoting anymore. I hate pivoting. I feel like a ballerina. So I'm thrilled. I'm really happy about that. And the fact that if you stopped, it's because it's in your favor too. I mean, really.
Yep.
So tell me, what is your Suzanne Evans gratitude moment?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I want to say I'm so thankful that we had her on today, because when I was at the event, I so wanted to be like up, get a one-on-one like we did today. This was better than anything I could have got at any event. So let's just say I'm grateful there. So that for me alone, and then to hear her talk about to Neil and like walk him through that's just a reminder to all of us as business owners that, relook at everything you're doing and revisit it. And the way you're doing business today, how can you plant yourself in our environment we have? Because I think she's right. I think she's on the path that we have probably another year before we really start doing full-on live events. I mean, I have a retreat in September. We're still doing it in September. There's only 20 of us, so we've got everything in place. I feel comfortable about it. But to do anything bigger than that on a grander scale, I have to agree with her. I don't see that happening for a year. So I'm grateful that she came on to remind us that as business owners with this happening, you can plant yourself in what you're doing today. Just do it differently and do it virtually.
Right. And that makes it easy for everyone right now.
Absolutely.
And I think right now, after going through COVID, and I know we're still in it, but I feel like we're on the tail end of it. And I don't know if that makes sense to some people, but I feel like we're at least out of the harder parts of COVID, and to be able to emerge with your company intact, with part of you intact. What didn't make it? How can you get it back?
I agree with you.
That's the things that I want to talk about in our future shows with Pearl, and having her take you through it, and having people on like Suzanne Evans, that we can help you get your own company back, get your own life back, and help with the life plan, and do it in a way that hasn't been done before, because we're going to be using the power of gratitude.
I totally agree with you. And something I want to leave everybody with today, I wrote this down while we were talking to Suzanne, is that, at WS Living, we have what we call our Shiro League. So we have our Shiro Club. So on Facebook, you can find us at Women Successful Living -Shiro. And then you can take it to the up a notch if you want to be in the league. And in the league, we do like weekly workbook on self-care, on being motivational, just on manifestation. But what I want everybody to understand is what the word Shiro means, because I don't think everybody really gets it. And I want to leave everybody that's here today, every woman that's listening. And we know there are many male figures that are heroes, but there are many women right now that we know you're a mom at home and you're trying to balance school starting back up. You're trying to balance, how do I do my job and virtual teach my kids? You're trying to balance a career and taking care of yourself if you don't have kids, or you're getting ready to retire and you're like, what am I going to do now? I can't go anywhere with COVID, I can't travel too much. So I want you to know that you guys are all sheroes. And what that means is that you are strong, you're hopeful, you're energetic, you're radiant, and you're an open-hearted woman. So we are here to support you. And we want you to have gratitude in knowing that you are a shero. And remember that as Jen closes us out today.
Thank you, Pearl. You are so sweet. So for all the sheroes in the world, we are there with you. You're not going through this by yourself. No matter where you are, no matter what your life looks like, there's always hope. Use gratitude to get you through, as I have. And remember, you are blessed, you are loved, and you are sacred. Mwah. I love you. Have a beautiful day.